Hey everybody, it's Mike Sowers. I'm back, Commercial Investors Group. This is the final video in our 4-part video series about selling your property. So in the first video, we helped you define why you want to sell your property. In the second video, we helped you define what exactly you want to get out of the sale of your property. In the third video, we talked about 5 ways to sell your property. Now we're going to talk about 3 key things that you need to be thinking about in order to minimize taxes and maximize profit when you sell your property. So the first thing is, what is your adjusted basis? The second thing we're going to talk about are what actually are the taxes you face when you sell. And the third thing is some tips from the pros, the best of the best, people that I've met across all career fields that have given me advice on this. I'm not giving you tax advice and I'm not an attorney, but I do want to tell you my current understanding of this because I think it's relevant that you think through this stuff if you're considering selling a property. So the first thing, what is your adjusted basis in the building? Essentially, this is the book value of what your property is worth. It's the initial cost that you bought it for, plus your closing costs, plus any capital improvements, so long-term improvements that you've put onto it, and then minus everything you've depreciated. That grand total is your adjusted basis. That is the benchmark for setting your capital gains when you sell property. So it's what you net from the sale minus your adjusted basis. That is your capital gain. Number 2, the taxes that you actually face. So depreciation recapture tax, 25%. You got your capital gains tax on your capital gain from appreciation. That's anywhere from 25 to 30% here in Minnesota. It's quite a bit less because you don't pay state taxes in certain states like Texas and Florida. The third thing actually is if you structure an installment sale, so a contract for deed or something like that, where you take some cash now and some cash over time, there's usually interest built in there. The interest that you take on those contracts is taxed at your ordinary tax rate, which is usually quite a bit higher than the depreciation tax rate of 25% and quite a bit higher than your capital gains tax rate. So there's some creative strategies around that. For example, can I buy your property that we agreed that fair market value, if it's sold all cash, is $1 million? And let's say you were going to take $250,000 down and I'm going to pay you the $750,000 over time plus 6% interest. Might it make more sense that I buy it for $1.2 million and you take the installment sales over time at 0% interest? Because then each of your payments is 100% principal and it's only taxed at your long-term capital gains rate. Instead of each payment, maybe it's the same exact payment, but part of that's gonna be interest and you're gonna pay a higher tax rate on that. So we can get creative. There's always 2 things. There's the price and the term. The first step is really just give me a call on my cell phone. I will come out and I'll have a free consultation with you and help you work through some of this stuff. And we can structure a few creative offers based on what you tell me and see if something might make sense. So the third thing is some tips from the pros. And I'm just gonna rattle some of these off. So 1031ing into another property, that's how you can exchange and defer gains. That doesn't always make the most sense unless you actually wanna continue managing properties. So if you're the guy who's done managing properties, selling your property all cash and then 1031ing is probably not the best plan. I would lead you to probably getting into a DST or potentially doing a master lease or doing a 721 UPREIT so that it's truly hands-off. You're probably going to get lower returns in the 721 or the DST, but it's truly hands-off investing. You can check out our podcast, 1031 versus DST. In installment sales, like we talked about, you can sell for a higher price and take no interest so that you're minimizing the amount of taxes you're paying. You can take the money over time to actually have your kids inherit a residual stream of income. What would happen if your kids inherited $300,000 if you passed away? Or would it make more sense for you to structure something where they get monthly installments, or perhaps it just snowballs with a trustee? The last thing is rolling into a qualified opportunity fund. So if you haven't heard about O-zones, opportunity zones, and those kinds of things, we did an opportunity fund here in St. Paul, and it was a fantastic thing. I highly recommend checking it out. I'm happy to consult with you. But you can actually roll capital gains from not just the sale of real estate, but businesses and stocks into qualified opportunity zones, and there's some really great tax benefits around that stuff. So these are my tips and tricks. I think that you want to think through, why am I selling my building? What do I need to get out of it for cash now and cash later? What are the 5 ways that I can sell a building and which one of those makes the most sense based on the answers to question 1 and question 2. And then based on that strategy we've selected, how do we set the price and terms to actually maximize the amount of cash you can get and minimize the amount that Uncle Sam takes from you. So I'm Mike Sowers. I hope that this video series gave you at least one thing to be thinking about when it comes to selling your property. Please subscribe here. I got videos coming out like this all the time. You can even hit that little alarm symbol and you'll be notified when we come out with new content. You're a blessing, and thanks for tuning in.